Hello! Today we'll be talking about animal nutrition. This will be broken down into 3 parts. 1. Being common types of feedstuffs. 2. Feed additives. And 3. Properly balancing an animal ration using the Pearson square. Part 1, we will be discussing feedstuffs. This includes hay, corn silage, whole corn, oats, wheat, cottonseed hulls, soybean meal, shredded beet pulp, molasses, and corn gluten meal. We will be discussing 10 different kinds of common feedstuffs. The first being hay. Hay consists of grasses and legumes that are cut, dried, and stored to use for livestock feed. Now these can be stored as loose hay, small or large square bales, small or large round bales, and as previously mentioned, are commonly fed to livestock, such as cattle, horses, sheep, and goats. Next on our list is corn silage. Corn silage is a fermented, high-moisture forage that is fed for its high energy levels. It consists of corn stalks and ears of corn that are harvested while it is still green. These are then stored in a silo to allow for fermentation. This is always fed to livestock, more commonly cattle. Next on our list is whole corn. That is most commonly fed to livestock due to the fact that it's high in energy. Whole corn can be broken into cracked corn to increase digestibility. It is most commonly put into feed mixes for other livestock. Next up is oats, which is a species of cereal grain grown for its seed. Now, although oats are suitable for human consumption, it is also fed to livestock, but most commonly horses. It can be crushed, rolled, crimped, or kept whole. Now, wheat is another species of cereal grain. Although it is also typically used for human consumption, many byproducts of wheat are fed to livestock. But you cannot ground wheat finely because it makes a paste that is extremely unpalatable to animals. Next up is cottonseed hulls. This is the byproduct from the dehulling process that occurs during cottonseed oil extraction. It is extremely fluffy and light in its texture, fed to livestock, mainly as roughages for cattle, used to increase the bulk of feed, and is very high in fiber. Soybean meal is another byproduct. It is the byproduct from the oil extraction of soybeans. That is typically fed to livestock as a protein supplement, and is most commonly fed to poultry, or as a creep feed for lambs. Yet another byproduct fed to livestock is shredded beet pulp. It is the byproduct of sugar beets. It can be fed wet or dry, and is a low-cost feed that is high in fiber. Molasses is a byproduct formed from refining sugar beets and sugar cane. That is most commonly mixed with other feeds for livestock, which increases the palatability and decreases the dust in the feed. It can also be used for human consumption. Now, to round out our feedstuffs is corn gluten meal. It's a byproduct of processed corn that is fed to livestock as a cheap source of protein. Part 2, we will be discussing what feed additives are, what their purposes and benefits are, and some of their concerns and dangers to feeding them. Feed additives are products that are used as a supplement to improve feed quality and animal performance. These are broken down by function. This includes antioxidants, enzymes, minerals, vitamins, antibiotics, amino acids, acidifiers, binders, and others. Some of the purposes and benefits of feed additives are to improve feed palatability, feed quality, animal health, and digestion. Now, it's also meant to increase animal growth. There are some concerns and dangers when feeding feed additives. Now, labels must be read very carefully and instructions must be followed closely. Feed additives must be fed to the correct species, as some animals can react differently to certain feed additives. Now, the withdrawal period must be taken into account to avoid residue in the meat. Now, most feed additives cannot be fed to livestock that are being sold as organic. Part 3 consists of balancing animal rations using the Pearson square. I will be using an example to demonstrate the process. Here is the scenario. A feedlot operator needs to make a 12% crude protein ration and needs to make a 5-ton batch of feed using alfalfa hay and wheat straw. What is his ration? Step 1 of using a Pearson square is to draw a square with diagonal lines as you see here. Step 2 is to write the percent of crude protein required in the center of the square. Now the scenario calls for 12% crude protein, so you place it in the middle of the square, between the diagonal lines. Step 3 is writing the 2 feeds that will be used in the left 2 corners, followed by the percent of crude protein. So I place wheat straw, which has 3.2% crude protein, in the top left-hand corner, followed by alfalfa hay, which has 17.1% crude protein, in the bottom left corner. Part 4 is subtracting the smaller number from the larger number, and then writing your answer in the opposite corners. Now, 12 minus 3.2 is 8.8, so you have 8.8 parts of alfalfa hay. Now 17.1 minus 12 is 5.1, so you have 5.1 parts of wheat straw. Step 5 is taking the 2 numbers from the right corner of your Pearson square, adding them together to get your total parts. Now, 5.1 plus 8.8 equals 13.9 total parts. Part 6 is finding the percent of the 2 feeds needed by dividing the part of the feed divided by the total parts. Now 5.1 divided by 13.9 gives you 36.7% wheat straw. And 8.8 divided by 13.9 gives you 63.3% alfalfa hay. Step 7, which is your final step, is multiplying the percent of feed needed by the total amount of feed required. Now the scenario calls for 5 ton. 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds, so 5 ton is 10,000 pounds. So you'll take the percent in decimal form, times it by your 10,000, and it equals 3,670 pounds of wheat straw, which is required for the ration. Now, similarly, you'll take 0.633 times 10,000, and you get 6,330 pounds of alfalfa hay. Now these 2 numbers, when added together, equal your 10,000 pounds. That is your full ration. Now on the instructional website, part 1 will be broken down into 2 parts. The first part will have an assessment activity with a Kahoot quiz. Students should take the quiz over 6 different feedstuffs and send a screenshot to the teacher via email. Part 2 of this video, feed additives, is listed as part 3 on the assessment activity page on the instructional website. Students have already been put into separate groups that will be creating Google documents about various information about feedstuffs. 1 page is required, and the link must be sent to the teacher via email. Part 3, balancing animal rations using the Pearson square, is listed in the assessment activity page as part 4. Students will complete a worksheet with a scenario using the Pearson square. They will then submit this worksheet via email to the teacher. I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it to be insightful and informative about various levels of animal nutrition. Now if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, there is a comment section on the home page of the instructional website. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.